Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Willy Donick will join us momentarily. We hope you are having a wonderful Friday, a beautiful Friday in our fair city of Nashville, Tennessee. And Derek, I don't think this is a personal question.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I do have a question for you because I grappled with something last night.
Uh-huh.
When was the moment you realized you felt old?
You know what? That is a good question.
The precise moment
Yeah.
you realized I'm old.
Well, when your kids get older, I'm sure you probably had a moment. That's why you're bringing it up. But I think that true moment comes as your kids get older and you're interacting with them. But I can remember just having conversations and thinking to myself, like, man, I am getting older. And I think the moment that it hit me is when, because I just decided to let my beard go gray. I don't care. I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, wow. That's when I knew that, because everything was gray. That's when I knew. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting older, and I'm accepting it. I've accepted it. But that's something visual. Well, my kids remind me all the time that I'm getting older.
So it actually has absolutely nothing to do with my children.
Okay.
So here's what happened. Last night, I went to a show at Bridgestone Arena, Bring Me the Horizon.
How was it?
Outstanding.
Great.
One of my favorite bands.
Great.
It's hard to put them in one genre.
Mm-hmm.
They play metal, pop metal, I guess you could say.
Pop metal.
Yeah, it's hard to explain.
Uh-huh.
But it was a really good show. I had never seen them before. I've been a big fan of theirs for a long time, so I was really glad I got to go. I went by myself.
Okay.
I went by myself. Bridget stayed home with the kids.
Okay.
And I'm watching the show from higher up in Bridgestone Arena. I'm not on the floor or anything like that. And I'm watching the floor, and there's a mosh pit. And when I was younger, man, I loved being in the pit. I would go to concerts all the time in the summer. Shout out Vans Warped Tour. Doesn't exist anymore in its original form. Every summer, I'd go to Vans Warped Tour. I'd spend all day in the mosh pits. And I'm watching the show last night from...
I'm all set, David.
From up above, Willy Donick joining the program.
He's all set.
He's all set.
Oh, I didn't know I was on. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Now you're
I'm
on.
enjoying it, but I'm going back to my days in the mosh pit, Adam. You've got my undivided attention.
Sidebar. I cannot imagine even younger Willy Donick in any sort of mosh pit. I just can't.
Come on, man. Give me some credit.
We'll get back to that. So I'm watching the show, and I'm watching the floor, and there are these huge mosh pits and circle pits, and I'm just like, that just seems so terrible. It's like, I remember when I used to want to do that. Now I'm watching all of these youngins pushing and shoving and dancing, and I'm like, man, I feel like that's my nightmare right now, being in that mosh pit. So that was the first thing. The second thing was I stayed for the show. Near the end of the encore, I caught myself yawning, not because I was bored by the performance. It was outstanding. But I was just like, man, it must be really late. It was like 10:35. I was just like, wow. I'm ready for bed. I'm not used to being out. I'm not used to being out at 10:35 anymore, especially on a school night. So last night it sort of hit me. I'm just like, I'm old. I mean, I'm 37. I'm not as old as Willy and Derek. They're distinguished. I hope to be as distinguished as them when I'm in my 50s, just like they are. But I left that concert last night and I had a great time, but I was also like, I'm reckoning with my mortality here. I'm old at 37.
It happens to us. Yeah, it happens to us all, man. It's, I'm still a night owl by nature, but days when I can get into bed early, like last week, I think I got into bed early 3 out of the 5 days during the actual week, not the weekend. And when I'm talking about early, I'm talking about 10 o'clock early, 9:30. That may be late for you, Adam, considering you have kids, but my kids are grown. I'm getting to bed that early, and I'm waking up extra early too. So when you go to sleep early and you wake up extra early, what does that mean, Willie? Yeah, absolutely.
That you're
getting older.
rested. You're rested.
That means you're getting older. There's no reason for you to stay up anymore. You're like, I can go to sleep. I can watch that show tomorrow.
Willie, was there a specific moment in your life when you realized I'm old?
Not that I would admit.
Come on. I mean,
I
you're
would
hip.
admit that.
You watch Euphoria. You're hip.
Yeah.
But there had to be a moment at some point where you're like, I'm just not as young as I used to be.
Well, it usually happens in the athletic forum. I think is where you first catch
Yes.
that, like moves that you used to make. That I think the moment would be when I tore my ACL at age 40, and I was really playing well. I was in a men's league. It was a younger team that we were playing, and I was playing great. And I was talking trash, and the next thing you know, I blew out my knee, and I was called for traveling on the play.
You blew out your knee, and they added
double whammy right there.
Injury to insult. They gave you a traveling violation
because my knee gave out, and I just went down in a heap. And I look up, and the guy's giving me the traveling. I'm like, what?
At least tear your knee taking a charge or something,
man.
Willie.
Oh my goodness!
Going up for a block or something, not traveling.
Yeah, I think that was the moment. I think.
Now I need to go back to something you said before. Again, I can't even imagine you moshing in any way, shape, or form. So what bands were you moshing to when you were younger, Willie?
Helmet.
That's a group.
Yeah. That Helmet was one. That was a concert one. And then there's just, if you go to certain clubs back then, the certain kind of music was playing. That's when the mosh pit would happen. My younger brother was the one that sort of led me into it. And I was like, yeah, okay. It was, early 90s, mid 90s. It was live, man. It was a lot of angst out there, Adam, as you like. It would be a perfect atmosphere for you.
Yes. There was a lot of angst in the building last night at Bridgestone Arena.
Okay.
Yes.
I've never been to a concert alone. Not to say I will not go to one alone, or if there's something wrong with those that go alone. You definitely had an excuse because your wife has to stay home, and that's your band. You love that band. But how is it going alone to a concert?
Well, I actually enjoy doing things alone.
I do.
When I covered the Predators and I would travel, a lot of times I would hang out with Willie Donick and others, but there would be times where I would just, I'm going to go out to dinner by myself. I'll sit at the bar. I'll watch the game. I'll eat. I like my solitude.
Okay.
So for me, I never feel like I have to, this is not the right way to say it. I was going to say, I have to force someone to come with me. I was fine with it. I mean, I was just watching the show. Like I really didn't need to interact with anybody because I was watching the show. So I like doing things by myself. I don't get to do it as often now because of my two children, and I love spending time with my children, obviously. But last night I was like, this is me time. I'm gonna enjoy this loud music.
How's your ears today?
They're not ringing as much as I thought they would when I got there. But again, there was a time when I was a teenager living in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Every summer, Warped Tour would come to town. All my favorite bands would be there. I'd save up all of my money from my after-school job, bagging groceries, or I worked at a deli for a little bit. I would save up all of my money, and then I would take a backpack, and I would go to Warped Tour, and I would spend like $200 on merch. That would be my wardrobe for the next year. I'd stuff all the band tees into my backpack, and then I'd mosh my face off for like 8 hours. It was great. So last night, as I'm watching all of these young people just throwing themselves at each other, and it was not.
How was their technique? Did they have good mosh technique?
From afar, it looked pretty good. But again,
professional.
It looked professional enough. maybe semi-pro at the absolute least.
Has it evolved from your era?
Oh yeah,
because I'm curious.
There's more coordination
my era
now.
Is before your era.
There's more coordination now.
Okay.
The front man of the band was sort of, giving directions on how he wanted certain mosh pits to look while he was performing.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some coordination, but as I was looking down there, I'm like, if someone put me there right now, I'd be like, can I go home? I would curl up in the fetal position on the floor of Bridgestone Arena. Like, let me out of here. So last night, I as I said, I reckoned with my mortality. I'm like, I'm not even 40 yet, but I know I'm getting old. Trevor says, and here I am at 36 on my way home from work to take a nap until 6 p.m. and stay up until 2 to 3 a.m. What's 2 to 3 a.m. like? I don't remember what 2 to 3 a.m. is like, except for when I have to take my dog out when he decides to go out at 3 a.m. or my son wakes up.
Mm.
But I don't remember what it's like to have fun at 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah, those days are over with. Whew.
No, I mean, I was sort of an old man in college too, where, it's Friday night, you go to a friend's apartment to pregame, and then the group is like, all right, we're going out. And you look at your phone, and it's like 11:30. I'm like, this was me going out. Like, me coming to your apartment was going out. I'm not going out now. I'm going home.
That stuff y'all doing is y'all can do that on y'all. I did my version of going out.
Robert says it goes by so fast. You always hear that, but it ain't until you get the gray beard that you realize just how fast it does go by. I mean, I don't have a beard.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to be clean shaven, but I have noticed some gray whiskers.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of being gray. I mean, look at Derek Mason. He looks great. He's got gray, but
Willy has his salt and pepper.
Willie's got the salt and pepper. Absolutely.
I'm just looking. You can grow your beard so we can be the 3 bearded bald guys. Let's do it.
That show title doesn't ring. Yes. That show title doesn't roll off the tongue the same way as DVD. Matthew says, for me, it's when I have to Google what the slang the kids are using today is. He goes, I'm 24, by the way. Matthew, I say this as respectfully as I can.
You're young.
Shut up. 24 and I feel old. Shut up, Matthew. We appreciate you always texting Matthew. But talk to me when you're 37. So I had a fabulous time. I was only out for like 3 hours. But when I came home, I was like wiped out. And I'm just like, I can't hang the way I used to. I can't hang at the metal shows the way that I used to.
Just a bunch of old guys.
Yeah.
There were people older than me at the show. There were some kids at the show. I was actually sort of surprised by that. Some like little ones. I'm like, that's a cool kid. I wish Arlo listened to metal. He just likes to listen to dumb stuff in the car that he makes me listen to on the way to school. Oh, it's the worst. Kids, right? But I love them. 615-737-1025. Dave says, did you get the creepy alert look being a party of one? No. People were doing their own thing. People may not have even noticed I was alone. So, I mean, I don't care. I had a great time.
Would you go to the movies alone?
I do go to the movies alone because my wife does not like going to the movies.
I've never done that. I guess I can't say that I wouldn't do it, but I've never done that.
No, I don't. I like going to the movies alone. I prefer to take my son. I like taking my son to movies that he wants to see. But if there are movies that I want to see, my wife does not like going to the movie theater. So, and that was another road thing I used to do all the time, Willie. I used to go to movies by myself on the road when I needed to kill time. So I don't mind eating alone, going to the movies alone, concerts alone. It really doesn't matter. One texter says, I feel old when I grunt to get into my son's Honda or tie my shoes. At least I'm not there yet. I can bend down without an issue. 615-737-1025. I just wanted to get that off my chest before we started the substance of today's show. I had to double check before I started speaking that there wasn't some sort of breaking Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini news that we had to discuss. Fortunately, we're good today. We're good. I mean,
nothing more from the pontoon boat or a different lake.
Nothing more from a different lake. No more videos.
Different time, different year.
No different angle.
For now, I mean, something could break.
Yes.
Something could break between now and 6 o'clock. But at the moment, there is nothing for us to discuss on that front, thankfully. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, the NFL made an announcement today about next week, and I do have a question about the local professional football team. 615-737-1025. Today, Vanderbilt baseball takes on Missouri at Missouri. They pushed the start time of that game back. First pitch is now at 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock, Vanderbilt at Missouri tonight. You can catch all of the action here on 102.5 The Game. Coverage is presented by Gary Force Acura. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. One quick text on our previous conversation.
Who's on the music today?
Not me.
It's your boy.
It's not his eye. It's not I.
It's David James.
David James.
Okay.
I had to give out some
Okay.
Pink Pony Club, baby.
I approve.
There we go. Ain't nothing
Okay.
wrong with that.
All
I'm
right.
feeling
Child
it.
chaperone.
All
I'm
right.
feeling it.
I do want to get to one text about our previous conversation about when you realized you were old and going to things by yourself, which I did last night when I went to a concert. Our friend Adam in Portland says, I have a nephew who likes to go to sit-down restaurants by himself. I tell him that gets him serial killer vibes, but he doesn't listen. Now, I would disagree with that heavily.
Serial killer
Adam.
vibes.
I would say this, though. If you are going to a restaurant by yourself, look for a spot at the bar. It's not as odd when you're at the bar. If you're at a
Mhm.
table by yourself at a sit-down restaurant, it's not weird, but you stick out a little bit more.
Nick Frazier believes that if you sit at the corner of the back of the building, it is not weird. To Nick.
Hold on. If you're sitting in the back by yourself,
That's
by
creepier.
the
That's
exit-
creepier.
Yes, by the exit sign. Yes, that is creepy.
No, it's an old school Italian situation. Your back is against the
I
back
know,
of the wall.
I know,
and
'cause
you're
you're
aimed
watching
towards
everybody.
the entryway. Correct.
Exactly. I understand that. But what if you're not in an Italian restaurant?
Doesn't have to be. It's just that's my intuition. I call it
Oh,
the
okay.
Italian intuition.
Mm.
I always
But
said
what
the
if they don't
back
know
of
you're
every-
Italian and they just looking at you like you crazy? They're like,
No, I'll
"We gotta watch
smile.
her."
I'll interact with the people around me. There's no problem with that.
No, I feel you on that. I don't like to sit with my back to the door. I get you. So I'm all with that. But sitting in the back of the room, yeah, I gotta watch.
Okay,
it.
Hold
He's
on.
Italian.
Now that we've got Nick, though, we've got to make sure that he has done what we believe he should do. Have you tried to get into this World Cup viewing thing as the guy?
Frazier, you still there, buddy?
Repeat
Did
that again,
we-
Willie.
Okay, no, he's right here. So the
Okay.
other day,
Nick, we have nominated you as the perfect representative for this contest for the World Cup.
have you seen
Times
this?
Square.
Have you seen this job, quote unquote, that is available for the World Cup via Fox Sports and Indeed, where they are looking for one person to watch every single World Cup match, every minute of every single World Cup match over nearly 40 days. But you have to do so inside of a transparent cube in Times Square. It pays $50,000.
Done.
Okay. Send in your
Nick would have
application.
done it for less than $50,000. But
Yeah,
but
if you just
Nick-
feed me, I'm there.
See, that's the thing we don't know.
We don't know what
But
the
we've got
accommodations
this
are like.
visual, though. We've got it all planned out. We feel like you're the perfect guy.
They
for this
said it
job.
would be a custom-made viewing.
I'm in.
Station.
Look, if you give me a lazy boy with a side table with some coffee from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., you give me lunch like a pasta or a chicken parm by 2 p.m., I'm good. Man, I'm watching all these games. I know there's a few games that kick off at 9 p.m. and 11 p.m.
Uh-huh.
I'm up for that. Let's do that. I know Italy's not in the World Cup, but I'm in for it all day,
Man.
every day.
Okay, well,
There
you
you
need to
go.
send in your application.
Absolutely.
I believe
Can
applications
Nick-
are still
we
open.
We have to make sure Nick has the information here because Nick, you've
Okay.
got to throw your hat in the ring.
Yeah.
And if you need references, DVD, we're your people. We're gonna get this done. We have to know somebody.
We'll
Thank
we'll,
you.
we'll
I
get
feel like
David. We'll get
Dmase knows
David to send you
people.
the application.
I know people. Adam knows people. We know people who know the right people. We've got it. There's nobody that is more cut out for this gig than Nick. I can see him interacting with the panel, on his thoughts about the games. I mean, he's perfect. He's perfect for it.
We'll hook
He
you
could
up
cook
with
out
the
the grill.
application.
He could get some New Yorkers come into his lair.
I don't know
in
if you
there,
can
he could
invite
cook
people
food
into
for
the
him.
cube. I don't know if that's part of the rules.
I
or
think
not.
they're going to want him to do that. I think that's going to be part of the show.
Trust me, when they find out who I am, they'll want more crowd around me. So I'm with you. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you for the nomination.
Okay.
I'm flattered. Thank
we
you.
will send you the application. You are indeed perfect for this job. All right. So today, the NFL finally announced when it is going to release the schedules
Oh my!
for next season. Next Thursday, May 14th. And as we've talked about, it's silly how excited people get about the schedule because we know who the Titans are playing. We know who the Titans are playing for the next 4 years. So I always find it funny when people are like, oh my God, the schedule, because we know which teams the Titans will be playing this season. And in case you don't know, which teams the Titans are playing this season. At home, of course, they're playing Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville, also on the road. At home, the Titans are playing Cleveland, the Jets, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Washington. On the road, the Titans are going to Baltimore, Cincinnati, Dallas, Detroit, Las Vegas, and New York to take on the Giants. Now we just need to know in what order they play these teams. But remember how much fun we had 1 year ago. Honestly, it's one of my favorite moments in the history of DVD. When we played the clip from our buddy, Mike North, some rando who works for the NFL, who was making the rounds on all of the podcasts, explaining the decisions behind which teams get these games and which teams get those games. And he had the infamous line, "You can't draft your way into prime time." Remember
Yes.
the Titans?
Oh yeah.
They had the number 1 overall pick. Surely they're going to get some primetime games. They got 0 primetime games. One of 3 teams last season with 0 scheduled primetime games. Tennessee, Cleveland, and New Orleans. And we had fun. Maybe we can dig up that clip from Mike North. It is one of my favorite moments in the history of our program. But here's my question. Do we think the Titans will show up in prime time at all this season? Surely the NFL will throw them one, right? Or are we SOL with the Titans in prime time again this season?
Okay, I have a theory here.
Okay.
Because they have already awarded, if I'm not mistaken, the Titans a Super Bowl. Or that's what it's leading to.
Mm-hmm.
In 2030,
2030, I believe.
Yeah,
2030,
2030,
2030, okay.
It's been speculated.
Exactly.
Right?
So it's been
official.
speculated. It hasn't been official yet, but it seems like that's where we're leading to the Titans, city of Nashville getting a Super Bowl. I think it would behoove the NFL, if indeed they want that to happen, to give the team, that city will represent the Super Bowl some shine on, prime time. I would have to think this year, because of you saw how Cam Ward played toward the end of the season, because DK was a all-pro and pro bowler, Jeffrey Simmons, and then you add these other guys to the mix, and Salah, a New York guy, Dabo, a New York guy, Borgazzi, you would almost have to think they would at least give them 1, maybe 2, because they didn't have any last year. Come on, Willy.
0.
You said,
I say 0.
Oh no!
I think they're going to get shut out again. It's not going to happen.
Are you serious?
Well,
After everything I just said.
No, I don't buy it.
Oh my goodness!
I don't think they're paying attention. I don't think any of that stuff you listed there gets on Mike North or anybody's radar. Nobody's radar.
So you don't think right now?
Needle.
You don't think right now if they have been discussing the schedule, I know they have, that they haven't looked at this and said, okay, when it came to Tennessee, they said, we got to get this team on a few more, which they didn't get any last year, national games, whether it be Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night. We got to give them something. The rookie quarterback showed that he's trending toward being a really good
I don't even
quarterback.
think they're thinking about that.
I'm
I don't even
telling
think
you,
that's
Willy,
even on the agenda.
2 New York guys? Come on.
That honestly, that would be maybe the best thing you brought up. The other, I do think there's intrigue about the ex-New York coaches. So because I don't know, I still am predicting 0. Here's another one to throw at you guys. Okay, I wish I could take credit for this. A friend of mine texted me this, listening to the show. Shout out. What about the Patriots? How many times will they be on national? And would they decide, let's not go there the first few weeks while this sort of sifts itself through the filters?
That's a good
Do
question.
Do you think they would change it?
Oh, do you think
Like,
it'd be a New
obviously,
England
they'd be
blackout?
on there a ton. As the defending AFC champs, they would be on there a bunch of times. Do you think it would alter?
A shadow ban. The NFL will shadow ban the Patriots.
I
Of
wonder
course, if it's on ESPN, they're not going to talk about it anyway. They never seem to talk about it. That's
No.
been something that has been pointed out, right? That ESPN has barely touched
Yeah, they
that
wanna leave
story
that
because
alone.
Rossini was with ESPN for so long.
I wonder if the NFL decides to obscure the Patriots early in the season. I can't think of the right word there, but
Hide.
yes, hide. Thank you. Hide the Patriots early in the season. Put them at 1:00 for the first few weeks, and then maybe if they come out the other side, we'll throw them a Sunday night game in like week 4. I do wonder about that. One texter says, "Do y'all really think the Titans' record over the last 3 years earns a primetime game? Think about some of the teams that had multiple primetime games last season." As I'm reading right here, for example, on USA Today, the Atlanta Falcons had 5 primetime games and a standalone window for their Germany matchup last season. Do you think anybody wanted to watch the Atlanta Falcons in primetime that many times?
Probably not, outside of those that are Atlanta fans, but probably not. But I just have to believe that because they didn't give this team not one, well, they did, but it was preseason. But not
yes,
one.
remember we
Yes.
made a point, and I believe Mike North did as well. Hey, they're in prime time in the preseason.
Exactly. So that is almost
in the last game of the preseason when nobody plays.
So you have to atone for that, don't you, Willie? You got to atone for.
They won't do it. They don't care.
Come
They
on,
don't
fans.
care.
What do y'all think? Do y'all think that the Titans will get at least a game? I'm saying they're going. I believe they will get at least 2.
Okay, I want let's weigh in on both. I want people to weigh in. 615-737-1025. How many will the Titans get? Will they get any? And how many do you think the Patriots will get? I'm really curious about that part of it.
So the issue for the Titans as well is the one surefire way they would get on primetime has been eliminated. The Monday Night Football doubleheader.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans were always one of the teams on the, hey, we're going to do 2 Monday night games that sort of overlap. Here's Titans at Dolphins, which I actually believe was one of those primetime games, Monday night games. Those no longer exist, if I am not mistaken. So there goes one avenue for the Titans. No more doubleheader Monday Night Football games. There's always the Thursday game, but when you look at the Titans' schedule, which of these opponents screams primetime for the Titans? And we'll look outside the division. Cleveland, the Jets, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Washington, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Dallas, Detroit, Las Vegas, and the Giants.
Vegas would be the one, right? For Mendoza, you could have, hey, here are the last 2 first picks in the draft.
Okay.
So that would be that would maybe.
What was the other ones again?
I still don't.
If you're excluding divisional games,
okay.
Cleveland, the Jets,
maybe because Saleh. Yeah.
Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Washington. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh tend to get a lot of primetime games.
But the Titans would have to have I think the Titans would have to they would have to be a little relevant.
Mm-hmm. Away, road games, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Dallas, Detroit, Las Vegas, and the Giants.
Yes, and yes, the Giants, Vegas, Dallas. I think those 3 games.
Derek is optimistic, Willy.
I'm optimistic.
You are not.
No, I'm not.
So you don't think if the Dallas Cowboys
if it's Vegas,
are good,
it's got to be late in the season, but not too late, because they wouldn't want both of those teams to be out of the playoff race, but you would certainly want to make sure Mendoza would be starting, and they've kind of played their hand, right? That early in the season he may not be starting. So that could be a problem. The Cowboys, are going to be on there a bunch, but I don't know if that helps the Titans' chances.
I think it would help the Titans' chances if they
bowl against the Giants. I guess would have a little bit of intrigue, but the Giants might be lousy again. I don't know.
So here's a graphic from this time last year of scheduled primetime games ahead of, this is before things get flexed. The Chiefs had 7 primetime games. The Cowboys had 6. The Falcons, Bills, Lions, Chargers, Dolphins, Eagles, Niners, and Commanders had 5. The Ravens, Bengals, Broncos, Packers, Texans, Rams, Vikings, Steelers, Seahawks, and Buccaneers had 4. And there are some teams in that list that I would never watch. I'm sorry. I'm not interested in watching the Dolphins unless I have to, or the Falcons unless I have to. So I'm gonna meet y'all in the middle.
Okay.
I'm not as
They're going to get a half a game. You're
yes,
saying.
yes. They're gonna put the Titans on primetime on Thursday night, and then realize they made a mistake, and then all right, we got to play something else. We're gonna have to find another game.
Flex them out. I thought you were going to say they're going to check out at halftime. They're going to stop the broadcast at halftime.
Yes,
I will say this.
I'm in between.
Depending on the teams, based on the teams you said, I do believe, and I wholeheartedly believe this, that the Titans will get 2 or more games. I think they'll get 3.
Okay, so Derek says
I think they get 3 games.
Derek,
3
Yes,
this year?
I think they say get 3 this year. Yeah. 2
Okay, let me
and
ask you
maybe
another
flexed
question, Derek.
into another one.
All right, Dmase.
Yes.
First of all, you tell me this.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that they're going to put a primetime game in that stadium this year.
It may not be in this stadium.
Well, okay, but if you're saying they're getting 2 or 3, you're saying all those games are going to be on the road.
But it depends on how their season is going. That's what I'm saying. If their season's going well, they will definitely get a primetime game here in Nashville. Definitely. 100%. Because they're going to want to show that stadium right behind them that is being built for a future Super Bowl. I got you, Willie. I got you. No, you're saying they're not. You said they
First, you're telling me they're going to contend. I don't like.
No, Willie, you just sat here. You sat here and said they don't want to show the city. Like they don't want. But
no, it's nothing against the city. It's the stadium they play in right now is decrepit.
But I beg to differ because they get to show the stadium that's being built behind them. They get everybody a view of it. Everybody that had from the Mississippis all the way to California, from New York to Bangkok. I don't care. You get an opportunity to see what is going to be one of the, if not the most beautiful stadium in all of football.
Okay, 615-737-1025. The NFL has announced that the schedule will be released next Thursday, May 14th. Will the Titans be shut out in prime time again? Derek's optimistic. Derek thinks there's a possibility of 3 Titans primetime games. Did you say 2 scheduled and 1 flexed?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Derek thinks 2 scheduled and 1 flexed. Willie says 0. No way, no how do the Titans get on primetime. I feel like I'm in the middle. Maybe they'll luck themselves into 1. What about y'all? 615-737.
And how many will the Patriots
get? How many will the Patriots get with the Vrabel of it all? 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Dmase, Fingan and Donick 1025 The Game. Joe Rexrode will join us at the top of the hour. Joe has a lot of thoughts about the CFP expansion, the potential CFP expansion, the confirmed NCAA Tournament expansion. He's written a couple of columns about it. We will discuss that with our friend Joe Rexrode at the top of the hour. But here's what we're discussing right now. The NFL announced today that it will release the schedule next Thursday, 6 days from now, May 14th. And again, y'all know who the Titans are playing. It's not a surprise. We just find out in what order the Titans are playing the teams on their schedule, which is why I find the schedule release to be so amusing in terms of how much coverage it gets. But when I saw that news today, I went back to this time last year, as I said, when we were all sitting in this room listening to some guy who works for the NFL named Mike North talk about how you can't draft your way into primetime. And that's why the Tennessee Titans, despite drafting Cam Ward, were not going to have a single scheduled primetime game in 2025. So I'm asking, it's 2026. Does that change? Has Mike North's tune changed? Does he believe the Titans can be a draw in primetime now? Derek says the Titans are going to get 3 primetime games, 2 scheduled and 1 flex. Willy says, hell no. The Titans are getting 0 primetime games. I'm going to meet y'all in the middle, not exactly the middle, because that would be 1.5. I will say 1. I think the Titans get a Thursday night game. That will be my prediction. 1 primetime game, a Thursday nighter. They're not getting on Monday night or Sunday night. They're going on Thursday.
I can see them getting, obviously a Thursday night. I think that they will get a Thursday night game, I believe. But outside of that, I think they do get a Sunday night game. And that flex might be a Monday night game. But I think they get a Sunday night game.
There is 0 chance they're
Telling
getting a Sunday night game. They're not getting a Sunday night game.
Telling you
it ain't happening.
What have you been
Sunday
drinking?
night?
Yeah, Sunday night. What's wrong with Sunday night? I have
They
confidence.
never get Sunday night. Even when they were good, they were.
I got
they're
confidence
rarely getting Sunday.
in this team that at that point in time, depending on what team they're playing in the middle of the season or early on, I can see them. I would say maybe after 6 games, because typically after 6-7 games, you can kind of tell where a team is going. I think that's where they're going to put that game. It's going to be a flex.
So I'm looking at the opponents, and here are the opponents who I think give the Titans the best chance of being in primetime. Willy has mentioned the Las Vegas Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
That's Tennessee at Las Vegas. I could see that if Fernando Mendoza starts. Maybe it's not early in the season. We'll see, because, the Raiders, they're talking about, hey, Kirk Cousins may start the season. But if Fernando Mendoza establishes himself as the starter for the Raiders, having the most recent number 1 pick quarterbacks going head to head, that could be interesting. The Jets, because of Robert Saleh. The Giants, because of all of the crossover. I mean, you've got Brian Daboll and Wan'Dale Robinson, and even Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan's on the Giants staff. You can play up that storyline if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore, maybe. Derrick Henry, first time facing the Tennessee Titans,
Yeah,
right?
you didn't think about that one, did you, Willy? Absolutely not.
I don't think Mike North has either.
Yes, he has. I'm sure
Do
he
you
has.
think-
Don't think about the Titans. I'm convinced Mike North has no idea
Do you think
that the Titans have a team.
Do you think the NFL puts Mike North in mothballs until around this time? Then they dust him off. All right, Mike, go do the interviews, explain the schedule. And when that's over, they put him back in the closet and they lock him in there until next May. Hopefully they give him food and water. But a couple of texters. B-Man says, Dmase needs a drug test, LOL. Another texter says, what in the world is Dmase smoking?
Man, y'all have no faith in your team. Like, come on.
The team.
Come on, Type.
It's Mike North.
But you got to have faith in your team that they believe that your team will be much better than what they have been.
One
And
texter
they're going
says,
to give you at least 2 primetime games.
one texter says the Titans are getting a rivalry uniform this year. This past season, the teams who participated in that all got a home primetime game. I would imagine that would be the same for this year. Surely the Titans would at least get a home Thursday night game with them using the rivalry uniform.
There we go. That's one. That's one. Come on, people. Keep throwing stuff at Willy. Come on, bring it on. We need all the ammunition because Willy's just like, they'll never get it.
Kevin says the NFL is interested in one thing: money. That comes from ratings. The Titans are not good enough yet to get ratings. The NFL is not in the business of making it up to bad teams. I mean, there are bad teams that get prime
exactly.
time
So
games.
the Dallas
But
Cowboys.
a lot of times in big markets, though.
When they're playing a
Right?
big market team, you mean?
No, he's saying just big
no,
markets,
the bad
period.
teams like the Giants and Jets will
Ah.
get prime time because of the market they're in. I think that's probably part of the Atlanta reasoning. You mentioned the Falcons got 5 or something last year, but
Yes.
that's a huge TV market. Nashville is not as big.
Well,
So when
You
it's
gotta make
a
it
small
bigger.
market and the team's not very good, that just doesn't give you much.
but if they're again, depending on what teams, and I believe that there are more than enough teams that are on this schedule, and I'm not just talking about their conference games. There are more than 2 or 3 teams on this schedule that would warrant a primetime game. And I get a lot of it depends on how they're viewing the Titans this season. But it's almost, well, how do they view the other team as well? I think, again, Dallas would be one. The Raiders, I think we've already said that because of Mendoza. And, if he's doing well or if he's not, it's put him on prime time, the 2 former number 1 picks. Then you got the Giants and the Jets who are, they were coached by the head coach / defensive coordinator and the OC of the Tennessee Titans. So that would be an allure right there, I think. So they have some possibilities, not to mention, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and possibly even one of their division games. That could be a flex game.
One texter says, Dmase, the Titans aren't even on TV, period, in parts of their own home state. That did happen last year. We talked
did
about
happen.
Yeah,
that.
it did. I can't say it didn't happen.
It did happen.
But that was old stuff, people. You can't be holding people to their old stuff. This is a new team, man. This is they're showing you they're a new team.
That was last year's team. This is this year's.
And
Now
Willy,
they've got those new uniforms.
Exactly. Willie, every year's a different year.
They
that.
have had the same attitude about Nashville in most years, though. Going way back, even when the team started to get good, I feel like it takes a couple years before you start really getting the attention of the national people. I think it still mostly has to do with the size of the market.
Well, and I do believe that. And that's one reason why, if indeed they're going to get flex, they're going to have to start off, hot. They don't have to start off 6-0, but it has to be relevant in their record after so many games to get flexed into one. But then I do really believe that, if indeed the Titans or the stadium will host one of these Super Bowls within the next, obviously not the next 3 or 4, but I'm saying after that, and we all know that more than likely that will happen, then they have to showcase the city. They have to. You just don't want to, we're having a Super Bowl, and even though people know about that, but you want to showcase the city. You want to showcase the progress of this new stadium. So that's the way I look at it.
615.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Well, not according to Willie. 615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your thoughts on this. The NFL schedule comes out next Thursday. We'll see. Derek is predicting 3. 2 scheduled primetime games, 1 flex. Willie says 0. I'll throw him 1. I'll throw him a Thursday nighter.
And if anybody between now and next Thursday wants to send in Dmase a drug test, as it was requested, then he will pass the drug test by Thursday. But it might surprise people. I believe he'll pass it but he's still going to be wrong about this.
One texter says, let Dmase know that I have some oceanfront property in Ashland City for sale. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, our friend Joe Rexrode will join us. He's mad. He's mad about NCAA tournament expansion. He's going to be mad about CFP expansion. We'll get his thoughts. I also have a challenge for Rexrode on the other side. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We've got a treat. Joe Rexrode. He's on the air every morning from 6 to 9 a.m. He's double dipping today. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our favorite grumpy old man. That's right. It's Joe Rexrode. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hello. Good to be with you guys.
All
Thanks
right,
for the kindness.
Rexrode. I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
I want you to say one good thing about the NCAA tournament expanding to 76 teams.
One good thing. Well, I will say that there will be a spare mid-major or two that was unfortunately left out before that will get in some years. So 2 years ago, under this format, Indiana State, there's an example of a team that we all needed in the NCAA tournament, didn't get in, got upset in the conference tournament. So the 76 gets them in. So there is that. The problem is it's, you get something like that, and then it's just couched by all kinds of awful high major teams that their own fans hate, and that's going to overshadow the occasional mid-major story.
But you know how this works, Joe. We'll complain about it now, but you and I and Willie and Derek, we're all basketball sickos. And when this expanded first four, or whatever they're going to call it now, the opening round, when that tips off on Tuesday, we're still going to watch these games. So are we wasting our breath complaining about it, knowing that we're probably going to watch it in March?
Well, I mean, we're wasting our breath because it's done now, but and you're right. We all love college hoops, so we'll be there. But obviously a huge part of March Madness. Look, I wish everybody loved college basketball like we do. Watch it all year, and then you enjoy the tournament that much more, and you fill out your bracket with some confidence. Even though, again, mine stinks every year, even though I think I know things. So, but a huge part of this tournament is that the country unites around it. All ages, all the variety of interest levels in the sport, because everybody loves having a bracket, and some people try to study up and get serious about it, and some people go with mascots or whatever it is. But the ritual of the bracket and really the cleanness and perfection of 64, that's really been there for 40 years now. The first four was a little bit of an annoyance that we tolerated, but this is more than that, and I do worry that we're going to lose casuals over this.
I did say yesterday, Joe, that I saw the new version of the bracket, the 76 team bracket, and I likened it to somebody taking a bucket of red paint and throwing it on the Mona Lisa. It was very difficult to see. But you wrote a column, which we will discuss after we get off the phone with you. You wrote a column at The Athletic with the headline, College Football Playoff at 24 or NCAA Tournament at 76. Which is worse? Answer your own question.
I will go with the basketball. For one thing, because it's actually happened. I mean, I guess that's probably not fair because we're trying to compare just what things are as ideas, but we know basketball's happening now and it stinks. And but I'm still going to go basketball because again, college football, like there's been complaining about the college football postseason for my entire life, right? I mean, Willie, Dmase, and I in particular, we all had much of our lives in the era of, wow, I wonder who the pollsters are going to vote for the national champion, which sounds completely idiotic. And then you get the BCS, it's like, okay, all right, and on from there. And now all of a sudden we're going 4 teams in 2024, and we just tripled that, and we might double that. I mean, it's insanity. But the point is, college football has been a source of complaints and meddling and change. But college basketball had it for 40 years, and so that's why I say college basketball. Robbie this morning said college football, and he's a much more intense college football fan than college basketball fan. I think that's part of it. But to me, it's when you mess with something that doesn't need to be fixed, that's worse even than the absolute obscenity of a 24-team college football playoff.
So, Rex, you're basically saying that in this new era of, profiting off of athletics, that no matter what the masses are telling you, which the masses are telling you 9% of the fans approve of this, which means 91% say, hell no, we don't want this. But even knowing that, they're going to say, we know what's better for you. We're going to push it down your throat and you're going to like it.
Right. And so far, they've been, it's not justified. It's not validated because I think that's a terrible approach. But so far, the numbers say people still love college sports. I mean, the ratings are great. People are tuning in. I mean, and look, I'll be honest, like I have not been one who's against the 12-team playoff. I think that they had to go above a 4-team playoff. But yes, I mean, you're exactly right. It's like they are just, this is what's good for you. We think you're going to keep coming back. You love, your alma mater or your team so much that it doesn't matter what we do. You're going to keep coming back. And I think that there's a real chance that bites them, and it's just like the impact, like think about football. The impact on the regular season to me, it could really be severe, which is part of why, like, I'm okay with 12. Like, I don't see why we have to change, but this is, in some cases it's just as simple as greed, but in other cases it's just different factions, trying to get their way. And it's the SEC and the Big Ten leading everything. And it's Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey really doing a lot to ruin college sports.
Now, you coined it as, or you phrased it as, college football is a plastic surgery addict who doesn't even wait for the puffiness from the previous procedure to subside before going under the knife once again. I think that is spot on. Not with just college football, but with college basketball. But you described that with college football. Do you think they get to a point where we've all seen the before and afters of plastic surgeries to celebrities, and it's not, some of them are not good? Do you think it gets to that point where ultimately you're trying to do all this stuff, and then you look at this product years down the line and you think this doesn't look good?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think it is possible. Well, first of all, I mean, I think it'll look that way for sure as soon as we go to 24. I mean, as soon as we're sitting there and we've got, 8-3 Iowa and 8-3 Illinois, and it's it's this big game to get in the playoff, and we're looking at teams that are also receiving votes. Okay, teams that are also receiving votes that in mid-November still have hope to be in the playoff. I mean, that's grotesque. But obviously, the problem will come if and when that does affect the big picture. Like, does that affect? Do we have November games that are just de facto exhibition games because they don't mean anything? Because the playoff, a team can lose out and still get in the playoff and maybe even get a bye. I mean, that's the thing. And obviously, they have to figure out a lot of things about incentive. One thing I will say, guys, is if you're going to do this, and even 16, which is what I kind of figured it would settle at, was 16. If you're going to go to 24, all this. Well, look, if you're going to go more and more like the NFL, then to me, you have to get rid of the bowls. And you have to at least incentivize winning for teams that have the playoff spots sewn up. Just like in the NFL, you're still fighting for the bye, or you're fighting for home field throughout the playoffs. Like, that has got to be part of this. If it's all on campus until we get to a championship game, then to me, it's all a lot more palatable. But the problem, as you guys know, is like the bowls are so tied up in everything. They're not just going to let go that easily. There's just so many factions here that are basically at odds.
Joe Rexrode is with us, the Athletic, and of course, Robbie and Rexrode in the mornings here on 102.5 The Game. Joe, it just, to me, the 24, and I don't understand why more football people aren't on board with this. Football is not a tournament sport, never has been. Basketball is, and so I can see a tournament being expanded in basketball, but football, with the number of games being played already and things like that, I just 24 is just so much more than it ever should be.
No, I'm with you, and that's the thing. I mean, you're turning it into, and again, some people would say, well, it's already gotten there, but to me, you still at 12, you still retain a lot of impact for, games with teams late into the season. The regular season still matters a lot. And when you go 24, again, like you're letting in teams that no one believes can win a national championship. I said this morning, Willie. It's like, okay, Vanderbilt got left out. BYU, Notre Dame, like those teams, I could have made a case for any of them to make a run. To win it, maybe not to actually win it, but like to make a run and win multiple games, I could make a case for all those teams. Again, when we start getting into the teams that are also receiving votes that are at the bottom of the top 25, some of those teams, I mean, look at last year's poll. We went through it today. Look at last year's poll and what some of those teams were. No way any of them have any chance to make a run. And so when you do that, it's like, so what are we doing here? Obviously, this is you got inventory, you've got more games, you got all these things, but you're also you have to get rid of the conference championship games, which I think you need to do. But when you do that, you're also getting rid of major revenue and major ratings for some of these playoff games that might be awful. So it's just from every angle, it's such a terrible plan, and everybody's laughing at it last year. Like Tony Petitti of the Big Ten, who's got to be like one of the worst commissioners of all time, and congratulations to him because he did that in less than 2 years. I mean, everybody's laughing at him, but now the problem is you got all the coaches on board because like, hey, I can go 8-4, and people will still not be mad at me because I'm in the field. But the problem is they don't understand that if you're going to lower the bar that much, people still understand when you're mediocre. They think they're saving jobs with this, and I just don't think it's going to work like that.
You led me right to the next question, Joe, because I believe that would happen very quickly, if not within the first year of diluting it to where a coach says, I'm on board with this because if I make the playoffs 3 years in a row, then I'll be safe. But I think it's exactly what you said is going to be what people talk about. It won't just be you made the playoffs. It will be, well, he's lost in the playoffs 3 years in a row in the first round. We got to get a new coach. That's just how it works.
Right. Like everybody who cares enough to get on a message board and complain about their coach, or, the donors who give money, who pay close attention, like they understand that this is not the same as making the playoff before. I mean, 12 is not the same as 4, and 24 obviously is not the same as 12. So it's, the column you guys referenced, I took a quote that Kelvin Sampson gave our CJ Moore last week. And part of the quote was, we're saving jobs. And it's like, that's seriously the mindset of a lot of these coaches. No, I don't think you are at all. So let's take Auburn basketball last year. Okay, they get in the 76. Is there an Auburn fan listening or an Auburn fan anywhere, if you said, okay, the same exact season up until, obviously they won the NIT, which is funny, but same exact season, but you sneak in. Do you feel any differently about Stephen Pearl? No, you're like, you better prove me something. You better bounce back next year. This is unacceptable after what your dad did. Like, sneaking in because there's a few more teams does not make you feel differently about that team or the season. It doesn't make it any more fun to watch that team.
All right, Joe, on a different soapbox that we agree on, I want to see has there been any update on our quest as the old curmudgeons to curtail and reset the traveling rule in either college or NBA basketball. I was watching last night. It is, the NBA has always been worse than college. And now that college is so far worse than it was, the NBA is further worse than it was. The liberties that people take in the lane, it just drives me crazy.
I will say, last night they called Donovan Mitchell for a somewhat subtle lifting of his pivot foot, which kind of like whenever they actually call it, you're like, whoa, hold on. And it's like, again, like you said, they miss dramatic ones, but they called that one. I was like, that's wild. That's almost worse because it's like so inconsistent to call a little shuffle of the feet. But it's not great, but I'm choosing to focus on the positives, Willie. I maybe it's because I do so much complaining about college sports that it's like I just want to enjoy the NBA playoffs. And you know what? If they let a little walk here or there go, or someone gets mugged and they don't call it, which certainly happened a few times last night too. I'm trying to just look at the glass half full here.
Wow, I didn't think I would hear that from Rexrode, Adam. I thought I would get the full passion because we've got to get this under control. If the NBA is it's long gone, but we've got to start with resetting. I want conversations. I want rules committee. I want coaches talking about what's reasonable with the travel and what has gotten out of control. Because if you don't acknowledge, as a basketball fan, especially as a basketball coach, that it's out of control, then you got your head in the sand. It's ridiculous.
Everything's a gather. If you just call it a gather, it's all fine. That was a gather. I took 4 steps, so that was all during a gather. See, it's fine.
Joe, you went to basketball camps like I went to basketball camps. We spent hours at the fundamental stations learning about keeping your pivot foot down and the jab step and the crossover and do it without traveling. We wasted our time, apparently.
The triple threat stance. You got to work on that, man. Yeah. You're not wrong. Some of the fundamentals, have been lost here in the process. But there's a lot of great basketball. I will say, if you can look past that, which you clearly can't, and I feel for you.
Oh, I can't. I'm doing it. I'm still watching. I'm watching. It just drives me crazy.
All right. Okay.
I just start yelling at the TV.
Good,
that's all.
But I've been pretty, I think it's been pretty good. Like the intensity of the NBA playoffs. Obviously, we know the Stanley Cup playoffs are going to be great. I mean, that's going to be the case. But I've been pretty enthralled with the NBA too so far.
A big game for Nolensville baseball, right, Joe? Coming up.
Yeah, we're heading there right now. Big at Page. I think we're playing Columbia Central, and it is possible that we get Ravenwood tomorrow. In which case, I assume that then Ikarski and I will be screaming at each other from across.
Oh, this is good. We have to. This has to happen. This has to happen. We have to have the showdown.
So instead of the two of you screaming at this desk, you'll be screaming at each other from bleachers on opposite sides of the field.
Yeah, he's been trying to rip some of our parents and, take little shots. And so, at some point you have to say enough is enough. So they probably won't win tonight, and we'll, win the regional without needing to play them again. But if they do get lucky enough to play us again, then we may have to lay down the law tomorrow.
I'm just waiting for the grainy footage that gets sent to my phone of Joe and Paul scuffling on the field, and then on local news, local man with gout fights other man at baseball game. Joe Rexrode.
I mean, my gout weighs more than him, so it won't be much of a fight.
See, you can use your gout to your advantage. There you go. Joe Rexrode, of course, has been our guest on Dmase, Vingan, and Donna. You can read his work at The Athletic and listen to him every weekday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. with Robbie Stanley right here on 102.5 The Game. Rexrode, as always, a pleasure. Enjoy the game. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend.
615-737-1025. By the way, Terry on our text line says, to answer Joe's question as an Auburn fan, no. We will get into this. Rexrode wrote a column earlier this week on The Athletic with the headline, College Football Playoff at 24 or NCAA Tournament at 76. Which is worse? We're going to debate that. You can too. 615-737-1025. The Nashville Sounds take on Louisville this evening. First pitch is at 6:15. Catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina.
for Miami, who legitimately, now I won't say should have won, but could have won the national championship. They could have won it. They had 2 losses to teams that are really competitive. I mean, they're competitive to them in their conference, but maybe they're better than. They shouldn't lose those games. They had 2 games they shouldn't lose. And I feel like for 10 years I've been here, if you lost 2 games you shouldn't lose, you're gone, you're out. But they were good enough to win it. Why does that not stand for basketball and baseball? Because they lose games they shouldn't lose all the time. It's a different sport. They play way more often. Their games are less meaningful than our games. And I do think that we're going to make some of our games maybe less meaningful, less impactful, but they will still matter in the grand scheme of things, especially towards the end of the season. So I'm a fan of 16 to 24 because of what you said, the currency and what we're measured by as coaches. I want to get my team in there as an opportunity. I want my fan base to be engaged. And it's gotten to the point now that if you're not in there, there's no value in a good old bowl game. Let's go play over in this bowl game and let's send out the seniors and let's give them whatever the name of the bowl is. And nobody cares about that anymore.
Yeah.
We've made it that way. So if we're going to make it that way, we might as well put more in it and get everybody in and let them go play.
That was Kirby Smart talking about potential college football playoff expansion.
That's just asinine what he said.
Go ahead.
It
Makes
just
makes no sense.
exactly. It's just he's just words. He's just spitting out words. That's all he's doing. It makes no sense because what he's saying is that you're diluting. Which, I mean, I think people knew that in the beginning. Like, the bowl games aren't what they used to be. They're just not, because the field has expanded. But there are still some bowl games that generate, the viewership, that generates the sponsors. Not all of them, but there are still some that people enjoy watching. So for him to say, oh, since we've, if we don't add extra to the college football playoffs, then our season will be obsolete. Bowl games will be obsolete, and that's just not the case. I think I would tend to believe that if you start adding more, those games will become obsolete. In that case, his thing is he just want more of his teams to get in, and he blatantly said it. I just want more SEC teams to get in, basically. And the Big Ten feels that way, and I'm sure the ACC feels that way. So it has nothing to do with trying to put together a good product. Because if you was putting together a good product, you would not touch the product as it is now.
Willie, any response to Derek?
I completely agree with Derek. It just, when you're trying to figure out which is worse, it's hard to choose. They're both completely objectionable. I guess, is that a word? Does that get a bell?
Oh no,
is that
no,
used
no,
in the right
no.
context?
Yeah, I think
That doesn't get a bell.
Why not?
No,
That doesn't get a
not
bell.
quite up to standard.
No,
I think objectionable is a good enough word.
No.
Well, the bell's already been rung,
Yeah,
so
you
I
can't
don't
take,
cat's
you
out of
can't
the
take a
bag.
ring back.
Yeah. Willie gets credit.
Okay, I'll take the credit. But basketball is a tournament sport. We've all seen AAU tournaments where you played ridiculous amount. If you played a lot of basketball, you probably played in a tournament. We played 3 games in a day. Forget about, games in 3 straight days. You could do it in basketball. Football is not designed that way. You're not supposed to have a postseason that has 24 teams in it. It's never been designed that way. It's a 1 game per week sport. There's nothing wrong with that. So I get that it's not perfect how they choose who should be in and playing for a national championship, but there's just no way that you should get anywhere close to 24. 16 would be bad. To me, it would be awful. But it's going to go to 16. There's not much you can do about that. But 24 is over the top bad.
To me, the answer is simple. Answering Rexrode's question in his column on The Athletic, which is worse, a 24-team college football playoff or a 76-team NCAA tournament? To me, the answer is simple. It's a 24-team college football playoff. And I know ahead of the NCAA tournament in March, we spent a lot of time talking about the death of Cinderella and how NIL has widened the gap between the haves and the have-nots, and that there are fewer upsets and fewer double-digit seeds advancing deep into the tournament. But at least in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, there's the chance for a major upset. I mean, I was pacing up and down my street as Siena had a double-digit lead against Duke in the first round. Duke prevailed, but Siena gave Duke all it could handle. That still exists in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It does not exist at all in college football. I was saying to Derek during the break, people still talk about the time Appalachian State defeated Michigan. That was 20 years ago. Like, Andy Staples of On3 published a 24-team CFP field based on the 2025 season. Let me read to you the projected matchups in this hypothetical field based on last season. The 17 versus 16 matchup, Virginia versus USC, Southern Cal. The 24 versus 9 matchup, North Texas versus Alabama. I can watch that game week 2, and Alabama will win 72-10. I don't need to see that in a playoff game. The 20 versus 13 matchup, Tulane versus Texas, 21 versus 12, Houston versus Miami, 18 versus 15, Arizona versus Utah, 23 versus 10, Iowa State versus Notre Dame, 19 versus 14, Michigan versus Vanderbilt, 22 versus 11, Georgia Tech versus BYU. How many of those games excite you? And what are the chances that the significantly lower seeds pull an upset in that round? What are the chances North Texas beats Alabama? What are the chances Iowa State beats Notre Dame? Like, to me, the thing that expanding both of these tournaments does is it rewards mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of playoff fields being as small as humanly possible. I saw this in the NCAA's news release about the expansion. Quote, the additional bids means 21% of teams have a spot in the NCAA's basketball postseason. Before expansion, championship access for basketball teams was at 18%, the lowest among major team sports. You know what I say? Good. The lower, the better. Not everyone should be invited to compete for a championship. But at least, Willy, in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, although the number of upsets has dwindled over the years, there's still that shot. Again, everybody else enjoyed what Siena was doing against Duke. I hated it. I mean, it worked out for me in the end. But that still exists in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. That does not exist in college football. Like, I may be blanking on something. So those of you who are college football sickos, you can let me know, 615-737-1025. What was like the last major college football upset? Like Appalachian State versus Michigan 20 years ago. I may be missing one that was much more recent. But
Vanderbilt,
I don't.
and are you talking about in bowl games or championship game?
At any point, regular season.
I mean, you can
Well,
go
there's
back
plenty
to
of like we play
Vandy.
underdogs. You look at Chris Sanders' underdog picks, right? There's been a few big upsets.
You
but
say Vandy and Alabama 2 years ago.
That's different though than
right.
I think
well, Vanderbilt versus Alabama
setting.
is a good choice. Is a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's so like, to me, if the college football playoff expands to 24 teams, teams 20 through 24 are never going to win, ever. Like, it's like, to me, it's just a waste of time.
No, I do agree with you because to me, a lot of this is a war of attrition. Who's going to stay healthier longer? And typically, if you have a deeper team, you can possibly survive a injury to a guy or two. But if you're not one of those teams where, you have that depth, then I can't see you getting far in the college football playoff. In basketball, I've always said, if you're hitting from outside, it doesn't matter who you are. That is hard to beat when someone, and we've seen it year after year, whether it be a good team or not, where if they're shooting lights out from the outside, I don't care how many 5-star guys the other team has. You can't, the 3-point is the equalizer right there. And that happens. There's no 3-pointers in football. Everything's worth the same. So there's no team that's, we do this. And no, it's not going to happen consistently or long enough in the playoffs that you're going to reap the benefits, because that team you play in the first week is going to beat you up and you're going to beat them up. And then you're going to play a team that's been fresh and you're going to lose. And you're not going to see that Cinderella thing.
Yeah, this may be more from a traditional standpoint, habits that we have, but I think it also is conducive to the sport. I think you guys have made some examples of why this is, but we don't really watch college football for the quote upset. We especially when it comes to trying to win a national championship. You earn the chance to play for a national championship. In a big tournament like the basketball, it's part of the fun of a tournament where that team that wins in a big upset in the first round isn't going to win the tournament, but that's not really why they're in the tournament. They're there to give us that jolt, that ingredient that a great 64 team tournament offers. That's not why you play. That's not why you have a postseason football tournament. Football is not a tournament sport. There's attrition, there's injuries. Nobody wants to see a quarterback get hurt in the first game and really mess up their chances of winning. If it happens in the semifinal, there's nothing you can do about it. But it's not part of why football, how you determine a champion in football. It's not that kind of sport. It's not, let's see how many games we can squeeze in there.
One caller, thankfully, told David James to tell me, I'm sorry for missing this. When Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame early in the season in 2024, that was a huge upset for sure. But again, it's just so rare. And
it happens. It happens from time to time. That's not. But do you guys agree with me? That's not why we have a postseason football determining the champion. That ingredient is never been a part of that. That's not something I'm dying to see. That's not why I want to watch a college football playoff.
I want to see
the best teams win the championship.
It's never been promoted that way. Whereas March Madness has always been. It's always been promoted as, that one moment, that one shiny moment. And, any team can be beaten at any given time. So the NCAA has built this, enormous tournament based upon that. You don't build a football playoff based upon one shiny moment. If that one team can upset this team, no, it's not going to happen. It may happen in the season early on, but when you're talking about after you done went through 12 games and your team has been beat up, there is a very small chance that underdog will not win the game.
I mean, and we went through this during the college football playoff this past season, right? With JMU getting into the field and losing huge at Oregon. And that led to another discussion about, hey, should these group of 6 or group of 5 or whatever it is, should those schools have their own tournament? And adding teams to the college football playoff feels a little bit that way. I don't if I'm going to watch a playoff, I don't want to see blowouts. I want to see close games. 615.
You see the best against the best.
Yeah, 615-737-1025. Answer Rexrode's question. Which is worse? 24-team college football playoff, 76-team NCAA basketball tournament. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the conversation and take your reaction coming up next. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Shout out to all the beautiful girls, a.k.a. the moms out there. Mother's Day on Sunday.
Absolutely.
We love beautiful moms.
By the way, I don't know how many people went to the Bruno Mars concert the other day in the chill with a little bit of rain, but my daughter Evie and her crew went, said it was absolutely spectacular.
Bruno Mars was here?
Yep.
He was in
Gosh, I would
Nissan
have
Stadium
known.
just the other night.
I'd have probably went.
Well, you'll have
I
to
like
wait.
Bruno
You'll have to
Mars.
wait until next time.
He's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Dang it.
And
Oh, well.
Evie and her buddies, they wore some of my Vanderbilt basketball shorts because apparently that's
Okay.
Bruno's thing, the basketball shorts.
Uh-huh.
So I was impressed because they endured the elements with those on, and they were willing to wear my shorts. So I mean that's gutsy on two fronts.
Exactly. I hope they washed them. I'm sure they did. Yeah. That stench from the old Willy can't still.
Oh
be in
man,
it.
I'm telling you. Yeah, I was going to say I did recommend that they do that.
The last time I put on these shorts was 2000. What was it?
Yeah.
90 something, Willie?
Well, in a game, early
Yeah.
90s, yeah.
Yeah.
In a game.
Stench.
But they've been sort of preserved. They've been, on the shelf. So, but
Okay.
kind of, just sitting deep in a closet for a long, long time. So, gotta
Adam-
get the flow back. Get the whatever elements are in there. Who knows?
Adam has something. Share what you were just telling me.
I
Adam.
will.
I find it kind of interesting.
I will. But first, let's go to James in
Yes.
Ashland City on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. James, thank you for waiting. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. You're always a good listener on my way into work. To answer the question first, I would say both are bad, but I think all of us, including you all in that studio, are going to agree, and most of your listening audience is going to agree that definitely expanding the 24 teams is ridiculous in college football. Now, I want to go back in time a little bit. People seem to forget the BCS era. I do want to point out that from 1998 to 2004, the BCS got it right every year. Now, the year in 2004, the BCS left Auburn out. If y'all remember, Auburn was undefeated. And even
Right.
back then, I said, we don't necessarily need a playoff. All we need with the BCS is a +1 if needed. In 04, you could have had a +1, and Auburn wouldn't have gotten screwed. Now, I'm not advocating we go back to that. The genie's out of the bottle. But going to 24 teams, do you really want to see somebody with a 4-loss record in the playoff and potentially getting to a finals with maybe on a bad day, a 1-loss Notre Dame or 1-loss, whoever goes down? I just don't think it's a good idea for that reason. And again, if you're going to expand to 16 teams, which I don't really have a problem with, but if you're going to do that, let's just get rid of all the league championship games, because at that point, don't y'all think it's obsolete? Hang up and listen. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, James.
Well, that came up, and I think at least I talked about potentially eliminating the games, the conference championship games, because I just think it gets to a point where when is enough, especially now that you're going to expand the college football playoffs. To me, the conference, and it would work better, I think, in basketball. It would be an easier transition in basketball than I think possibly in football, because I think that championship game is entrenched in a lot of conferences. And it's easier to make that transition when you're doing basketball. Take the regular season conference champion, automatic bid, and then you go from there. You don't even need to have the championship game. But it not happening, I don't think it'd ever not be there because of the money that those championship games bring, that no matter how many games you add to the playoffs, it will all, if you take away that game, you'll never be able to make up that money that you lost in your championship game. You just won't.
One texter says, if the CFP is expanded to 24 teams, do you think some of the high draft prospects would sit out of more games? I can see them saying, well, if we can get in with an 8-4 record, why play meaningless games during the season? Also, how would this impact NIL? Perhaps players ask for more money?
There could be a possibility as an extra game. And, if I get to this, if I get to the playoffs, and that also, it's like almost like an incentive. If you get into the college football playoff as a coach, this is what you get. Not saying that you lost 4 games and you only got in because they added 12 more teams, and you're really not that good. But because the threshold has changed, now you get in with 4 losses, and now you get a bump and raise because a mediocre team got into the college football playoffs.
I mean,
I would say that in terms of the college, the conference championship games, those are already obsolete and meaningless for the most part at a 12-team playoff. So they're going to be even more ridiculous. I think it stands to reason that you would get rid of those if they went to 24, right? There's just not enough weekends to get the season over with. They're already playing too many games when it gets down to it. The question about the prospects, the pro prospects, is a really interesting one. At this point, do we really think it would change much if in terms of I think that this is where they're going, right? The pro prospects, if their team is out of a national championship run, they're not going to play. And there's not much you can do about that. But I would fall back on this. An 8-4 team doesn't deserve to play for the national championship team. Or a national championship. And if you go to 24, I think you would get to that. There would be teams that around 8-4 that would be right there on the bubble and probably get in some years. Those teams shouldn't be playing for a national championship.
Because to boil it down, by expanding to 24 teams, you are running the risk of turning the first round of the college football playoff into the first week of the regular season. There are going to be matchups that you would have seen early in the season. If I recall correctly, wasn't there a rematch in the opening round of this year's college football playoff? Was it Tulane and I can't recall.
Ole Miss.
Yes, Tulane and Ole Miss. Thank you. Tulane and Ole Miss played during the regular season, and the score was something like 63-7. And then we basically saw that again in the college football playoff, again, if memory serves. So by expanding to 24 teams, you're just replaying week 1 or week 2 of the regular season, but you're pretending it's a meaningful game. And I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, all of it's going to boil down to, again, when are they going to implement this 24 team playoff? And once it's implemented, how will that first year look? That's going to be the tail sign of it all. Or even when they expand it a little bit more, how will that first game look? And I think a lot of this, is based on what happened earlier in the season when Notre Dame didn't get in. And then they changed the rules midstream. Just like, seriously. But anyway, you changed the rules midstream. So why? So not Oklahoma. So Notre Dame could get in the next following season. Okay, well, let's take a little bit further. Let's add all these. Now let's really push to the forefront, 16 and 24 teams. You open the floodgates and you change rules for one individual team because they didn't get in. Now you're letting everybody in, 4 wins, maybe even 5 wins, depending on what conference you're in and how tough your schedule was.
Tommy says, with 24, it's more football for us, though. It's no different than the NFL. There are wild card teams with several losses who have won the Super Bowl. Just make it a top 24 instead of 25, and they would be the teams.
Again, you're talking about a league with 32 teams in a league with 100 and some teams.
More than that.
Yeah, more than that. So you're not comparing apples to apples when it comes to football and college basketball. I just think the product gets extremely diluted after about 12 teams. Really, probably before that, but let's say 12 teams. I think then the product gets diluted.
But as I said, Willie, when we had Rexrode on earlier this hour, if you're a college football sicko or a college basketball sicko, you are going to watch these games whether or not you really want to.
I don't know if I'm going to watch the. It's well in the football already. The first weekend, like you said, not all the matchups are premier matchups at all. There's not a whole lot that you're sitting there going, boy, I've got to watch this game. There's a couple, but there's a couple that it's like, all right, some so and so is an 11-point favorite. If I watch it, great. If I've got nothing to do, I'll flip it on. But I found myself the last couple of years, obviously with the Predators going on and college basketball is going on, I'm those games don't jump to the top of my list already. If you go to 24, it's even going to be worse. I'm not going to worry about some of those matchups. There's too many of them, and it again, we've talked about this all the time. I believe this too with the baseball playoffs. Every extra team you let in there, every extra game that you have, it lessens the importance of each game, and it lessens the regular season. So those are both bad things.
615-737-1025. It is Friday. It's almost 5 o'clock, so it's time for Ask Dmase. If you've got questions for Derek, call us, text us, 615-737-1025. You never know what you might learn. Last week, during Ask Dmase, we learned that I did an entire show with my underwear on backwards. So what could happen today? Hopefully it's more about Derek and not about me. But it's time for Ask Dmase, 615-737-1025. Plus, I have a job opportunity that you are just going to love. We'll reveal that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Dmase. He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask Dmase.
We'll welcome you in.
Now,
Dmase.
on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for Ask Dmase on Dmase, Vingan and Donick. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. You know the drill. 615-737-1025. If you have a question for Derek, you can call us. You can text us again. 615-737-1025. It can be about sports. It can be about life. And in honor of Mother's Day, it can be about mom. And that's where we're going to start.
Yeah.
Because one texter wants to know, Derek, what your favorite memory of your mom is.
My mom has been deceased for some years now. But my favorite memories of my mom, really, it was when not a lot of it, but a good part was when I got older. And when you get older, you sort of appreciate, your parents a lot more, I think, because now you're a parent and you understand some of the knucklehead stuff that you put them through. And then you start understanding why certain things happen. And I just think getting a phone call from my mom every morning, that is what I remember the most. No matter what, she would call, whether I answered or not, or if I was busy, she made sure she called in the morning. And if I didn't pick up or I was at work, she would always leave a message tell me to call, or she would call late in the evening. So that's what I remember the most about my mom.
Another texter wants to know, when was your mom maddest at you? What did you do and how did she react?
Man, when I burned my sister's foot with the firecracker.
Oh, you told this story.
Yes, tell it again for those who haven't heard it.
I'm glad Dmase is still around.
Me too.
After that.
So my parents, they were going over my grandmother's house and they were taking the younger ones with them. And it was around 4th of July. And my dad specifically said, do not, and I repeat, do not touch fireworks. As all parents do around that time when you're younger. So they left and left my older brother in charge. I forgot what my older brother was doing. He may have been in the house. So my sister, who's younger than me, a few years younger than me, her and I went in the backyard. And my sister she's down like 4 flat tires. She had on these shoes that were plastic shoes. They were called jellies. And they were summer shoes, and they, just plastic and open and whatnot. They were for girls. So I decided, hey, let me put this firecracker on your shoe and let's see what happens. Not knowing that the firecracker that I put on her shoe wasn't actually a firecracker, even though that would have been bad too. It was one of those firecrackers that you light it and it spins. And fire comes out of it. It don't just say pow. It spins and zzz. Well, what happens when you add fire to plastic? It melts, right? Well, it melted right on my sister's foot. It was bad, but my sister was a trooper. Because I was like, I begged and pleaded her, don't tell. Now, mind you, we were young. I said, don't tell, please, please. She said, I won't tell. So my parents came home. And they called us upstairs, and my sister didn't want to go upstairs. So she finally had to go upstairs and tell, because I had wrapped it up and everything. Like my parents were not going to see it. I wrapped the foot up and everything.
This is fine.
Woo, boy, that night, boy, I swear my parents were at the doctor's emergency until like 1 o'clock in the morning. I thought I had escaped. Like, whoo, I'm not going to get it. At least not tonight. Nah, buddy. No. I got woken up or awakened by some yelling and by a switch.
Ooh.
The yelling was from my mom. The switch was from my dad.
Jeez, not a good way to wake up.
No, it's not. And I really wasn't asleep, but I tried to pretend as if I was asleep. Like, they're not going to mess with me if I'm asleep. Nah, buddy, that don't work. Not in my family anyway. So, yeah, I think that may have been the maddest my mom had been at me.
Willie, can you top that?
About no, I don't think I can top that. I do. I think my mom got most mad at me one time. We've had the discussion about the TV dinners, the Salisbury steaks, and
yes,
that used to be like a special thing for my brother and I to get the TV dinners, some kind of TV show that we were both fired up to watch, and my mom would bring them out there. We'd be sitting in the TV room. Usually you didn't get to do that, sit in front of the TV, but we were ready to go. And I had a great idea one time is, hey, I don't like peas. So my brother, he's watching, he's younger, he's watching the TV show. I'll just one by one put my one pea at a time from my plate into his plate. Great idea, right? Hey, peas are gone. I've eaten my vegetables. I'm ready for dessert. The problem is my brother didn't like peas either. So we had a huge pile of peas on his side. He hadn't eaten any of them, and I got none on my side. So my mom wasn't born the day before. She looks at that pile. She knows exactly what has happened, and so I was toast. I was sent to the room
with no dessert.
No dessert and no prayer of getting out of the room anytime soon after that. You're out of here. It was like getting the heave ho from a basketball game. Just you're gone.
Ejected.
Yeah.
How about you, Adam?
It's a good question.
Adam never got in trouble.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I did get in trouble. It wasn't burning my sister's foot with fireworks.
Yeah, I'm the only, pyro around here.
I do a little bit of a pyromaniac. You learn something every day about Derek Mason.
Conspiracy theories and
conspiracy theories and starting fires. Okay, this is a really random one. When I was younger, and I would want to sneak a treat, like a piece of candy or something. I would sneak down to the kitchen, grab a piece of candy or a lollipop or whatever. And so I didn't get caught by putting the wrapper in the garbage. I would flush them down the toilet.
Oh.
And one time, the toilet backed up. And I was caught red-handed.
Well,
I clogged the toilet with my wrappers.
There you go.
So
that'll do it. You can't get around that.
No,
there's no getting around that.
There was no excuse I could possibly make. The wrapper just fell in there.
No,
it just so happened to be in the toilet.
It was like that when I got here. I could not.
It's interesting. That's the kind of candy bar you tend to like, Adam. How did it get down there?
Oh, yes. But I love my mother. She's wonderful. She's a wonderful grandmother as well. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. We'll get to your questions again in just a moment. Again, if you have questions for Derek, 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. But I have a job for all of you, especially those of you who love the Tennessee Titans. I have a LinkedIn page. I'm not searching for work right now, but I look at LinkedIn every once in a while. And there's a section where it says top job picks for you. And it suggests jobs based on your resume and your work history. Like, hey, this job could be great for you. So on my list of top job picks for you is coordinator, mascot, Tennessee Titans. I'm like, is this the person who's in charge of booking T-Rack's appearances and maintaining his calendar and making sure he gets to all of his birthday parties and events and stuff? No, this is a job to be T-Rack.
Wow.
First of all, why am I being recommended that job? I have zero mascot experience. I could
just see you as a mascot.
I don't think I would be the peppiest mascot, but I'm looking at the job requirements, and I read the first one, and I had to stifle my laughter. The first job requirement, a bachelor's degree. Why do you need a bachelor's degree to be a mascot?
You can't talk. Nobody's supposed to know who you are.
Right.
So what good is that bachelor? It's great to have one, but what good is that bachelor's degree inside of a costume that no one can ever see or hear you?
Let me list off the other requirements for the job, and they all make sense.
Yeah.
A minimum of 3 years of experience as a mascot at the collegiate level or with a professional sports team required. Makes sense.
Okay.
A minimum of 3 years of experience maintaining an entertainment/performer schedule and calendar required. Makes sense. Must be able to travel and transport the costume to offsite appearances and community events as needed.
Okay.
Proven ability to think creatively. Excellent oral and written communication skills. Again, you're not talking in the costume.
Exactly.
Must have a valid driver's license. That makes sense. But if you don't have a bachelor's degree, you can't apply.
Are there things that T-Rack is doing? Is he putting together contracts? Is he doing speaking engagements? Because the last I checked, I don't think I've ever heard
are there
T-Rack speak.
Spreadsheets involved in this? I don't know, but a bachelor's degree is required. So if you do not have one, and there is no shame if you do not have one,
Yeah,
not
it's
everybody
not
goes to
at all.
college. If you do not have one, do not bother applying.
Yeah.
You have to have a bachelor's degree.
Is
to be
is
T-Rack.
that a rule or a guideline? Come on.
It
somebody-
says
it's
says
gotta be-
required. It
Wait,
says required.
Requirements, yes.
But if the person shows up to the job interview and you're like, I'm so impressed, maybe they didn't know that you had to have one, or you're just blown away from this person, and then they show you, they're like, okay, let me see your bachelor's degree. And you're like, what? Bachelor's degree? Do you think you could overcome that? And you're like, oh, we'll put it aside for this.
It
Do
depends
you think that-
it depends
feel
on
like
how
they
good of a
would. Like, how
mascot
could
you
you-
are.
That's what I'm saying. If you're just born to be a mascot, I feel like they might overlook this fact, this rule.
Or I mean, listen, the Titans have been changing. They have changed sort of, regimes as far as GM, and they're changing things within the building. So they could be changing how T-Rack interacts. It's no longer just him interacting with you within the suit. It's him interacting or her outside of the suit. But then that takes away the, what would you call it? The
mystique?
Yeah, the mystique of who T-Rack is. So why again, it's great to have
I think that's
good.
part of the shtick is you keep your true identity.
Exactly. So
to
why
yourself.
So again, why is that that should be one of those things that are not requirements, but can help.
Highly recommended.
Yeah, recommended.
But not required.
But not required.
That also leads to this discussion. If it's required, but you feel like you were born to be a mascot, would you forge? Would you fabricate a degree so you could qualify for the job?
Oh man.
Like people have been fired for fabricating things on their resume, right? That's been a thing. We've seen that with some college coaches. Famously, I forget the name of the coach that got the Notre Dame job, but he had embellished his resume and he never got the coach. Was it O'Leary? I think was his name, George O'Leary. Is that popping into my head? You can look that up, Adam. But that could be a great controversy. The Titans hire the best T-Rack ever, but they come to find out he forged a degree. He didn't really go to college. Should they fire him because of that? What if he's just great at what he does?
Here's what happens. The applicant almost pulls it off, but then someone notices that his degree from Columbia is from Colombia with an O instead of a U.
Columbia High School?
Exactly.
No, from the country. From the country.
Oh, the
Columbia.
country of Columbia.
And now you'll get a degree from America too.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. All right, let's get back to the questions. Oh, Drew says, speaking of Columbia, Drew in Columbia says, Adam, what's the compensation like? It does not say.
No, it doesn't.
I don't believe Tennessee is one of those states that requires you to put the salary range on the job applications.
I'm not sure.
So I don't know what the compensation is, Drew, but what would it take for you to be the mascot? Brian says, what else does the mascot do? Teach calculus? Another texter says the Titans ran that job description through ChatGPT and didn't proofread it before posting it to LinkedIn. That could be
It's possible.
But look, most jobs require a bachelor's degree, so you just kind of pop it in there. But again, the idea of, Willie, you meet every single qualification there is to be T-Rack. You are the most experienced and successful mascot who applied for this job. However, you did not graduate from college, so we can't hire you. Like that would be controversial.
It would be very controversial.
That's all I'm saying. Richie on our text line says, Dmase, if you were paid to go skydiving, how much money would they have to pay you to do it? And who on the station would you take to go with you? Okay,
I have been skydiving before.
Really?
I went on my son's because my son wanted to do it. My son is I have an adventurous spirit, but his is times two. He is like, he's more sort of an adventurous type of person. So he wanted to, jump out of a plane on his 21st birthday. So it was like, okay.
As one does,
as every 21-year-old want to do. I doubt it. But he wanted to go. And I said, okay. Because I was supposed to go two times previously with friends. And both times they just got postponed because of weather. So I said, okay, I do it. My son wants to do it, so I do it. My daughter did it as well. So I don't mind doing it, but I said that would be the last time. I did it, scratched it off, bucket list thing. I'm not doing it anymore. So if you want me to do it again, it's going to take some money for me to get up there again. It may not take, 6 figures, but it'll take a little bit change to get me back up there.
And who on the station would you take with you?
Oh, man. I think anybody.
I'm not doing it.
No, I think like anybody, I would take Nick. Because I think if anything happens in the air, Nick will figure it out before we hit the ground. Am I right? Am I wrong?
I think you're 100% right.
Exactly.
It's a great choice. So, Derek, were you attached to a professional person doing it? Or
yeah.
Okay.
I still was. The scariest part about the whole thing wasn't actually jumping out, even though that part was like, but they do it so quick where you don't have time to think about it. It's just they make sure they got your buckle. They say, are you ready? And then they say one, and then they jump out. So they don't give you that opportunity to, okay, 1, 2, 3. No, they just go. But it's the 15 to 20 minutes you are circling, getting to 15,000 feet. That is the scary part, because now you're on basically a crop duster with maybe 2 other people in there that are going to jump, a pilot, and you're circling and everything's shaking. And you get to think like, why am I up here?
Right.
That's when it's because you got time to think about what you're actually doing. So that's the scariest part.
And did you second guess? Did you come close to saying, I'm not doing it?
I second guessed it, but I was never at a point where I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. But I was up there like, man, this is it. I ain't doing this. This will be the last time. I'm not doing this no more.
615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your questions for Derek on Ask Dmase, as we do every Friday during the off season. 615-737-1025. If you've got a question for Derek, call us, text us. We'll get to your calls and texts coming up next. 615-737-1025. Don't miss GalaxyCon at the Nashville Fairgrounds, May 29th through May 31st. It's a 3-day festival of fandom with celebrities, artists, entertainers, and more. For more information, visit thegamenashville.com/events.
Happy Friday, everyone. And if you've lived in the Middle Tennessee area for any time, you've seen how our weather can be wild around these parts. From winter storms, tornadoes, to flooding, we've seen it all. Like many of you, the winter storm earlier this year caught me totally unprepared and off guard. I lost power for 7 days, as I know many of you did as well. The 7 days out of my house, staying in a hotel, and 7 days worrying about whether a pipe was going to burst or something else was going to happen. That's when I realized, and I'm sure like many of you, being prepared isn't optional anymore. I'll be ready for the next time a weather emergency happens, So I started looking into whole home generators and found Tri-State Water Power and Air. They've been in business for over 30 years. People specializing in generators for more than half of those, which is all great. But the reason I reached out to them was because of the reviews and the confidence other homeowners shared about their experience with Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. When Tri-State came to the house, they did a free on-site assessment, made sure the generator fit my home for me and my family needs. The thing that I appreciated the most was they didn't try to upsell me or oversell me. They just got straight to the answers, turnkey, and everything. They handle everything, and they do handle everything from installations to long-term service. As I told you before, I hate buying things and I have to go to a third person. But with Tri-State Water, Power, and Air, you don't have to do that. They installed it, so they will fix it, because with them, everything, and I mean everything, is covered. That's the kind of relationship I want, and I know that's the kind of relationship you want. So, look, the weather's not slowing down anytime soon. Be ready. Call Tri-State Water, Power, and Air today and protect your home and your family. Find them at tristatewhywait.com. That's tristatewhywait.com.
Dmase, Vingan and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Wrapping up the week with Ask Dmase. If you have a question for Derek, call us, text us, 615-737-1025. Let's go to Mike from Old Hickory, who's been waiting patiently. Mike, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
How you doing, guys?
We're doing well. Thank you.
I just want to ask kind of an economic question looking forward. We're still building the new Dome Stadium, and now that we've got our team in place for 2026, what I want to ask is, what is the revenue generated by the Titans playing 2 games preseason, 8 games at home under the Dome Stadium, or even before it gets completed? Then what do we do? What does Amy do with the other 355 days of the new Dome Stadium? So I'm just kind of figuring out here, how much money do the Titans actually bring in an open air stadium like we have now, with, and then how much money do we bring in into a Dome Stadium, the Titans? And then Amy says, okay, that's only 10 games. What do I do with the other 355 days? Bringing in, say, monster trucks, worldwide wrestling, concerts, and everything else.
Thank you for the call, Mike. It's first of all, I do have a bachelor's degree. It is not in economics. So I can't answer the specific financial question you're asking.
I mean, it'd be easier to find what they generate during the season in the old stadium. I think that's a little bit easier to find out.
Was his question
what would it
I think
generate
with the Dome,
in the new stadium? We don't know
with the
yet.
roof,
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to have a lot more
stuff.
events
Yes,
than you
Of
had
course,
before.
of course.
So I'm sure
there's talk of the Super Bowl. There's talk of WrestleMania.
Well, yeah. So the
There'll
big
be
ones are
concerts.
obvious, right?
Yeah.
They come into play. But I think the day in and day out is a really good question because it takes a lot of work, and you got to find the right events. Not every event wants to be at a stadium that big, right? Sometimes you want a smaller venue. But I am curious how that fits into already what we have in terms of concerts alone, right? You've always got these great venues. Sometimes it's great to go to a concert that's only got room for 500 people or 600 people, whatever. Sometimes the arena is the perfect place. Sometimes you want to be outside and not inside. But now with the stadium, I am curious myself. It's a good question.
I think a lot of that stuff, like with the new stadium, whether it's a big, venue, meaning a concert, something that, is going to be 60,000 fans, there are possibly even more. But I think on the day-to-day, there are things that they do day-to-day within rooms inside of the stadium that they rent out. Now, obviously, it doesn't generate the money that, say, a concert will, but I'm sure you leasing out a room to do a meeting or whatnot, after a while, those things start to build up. And again, it's not as much as you're going to get for WrestleMania or a college football playoffs or, some concert that may come through here that will seat 60,000 plus. But I think there's an everyday sort of workings within any building that, especially a building like a stadium or something, where there's always people in there somehow, some way, and those rooms can be rented.
Let's go to our friend Adam from Portland, who's allowed to call us because the Predators did not win the draft lottery earlier this week. Adam, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
I was going to stand by that, dude.
I believe you.
A lot of people would have loved it, but that's all right. So, hey, Dmase, so I was a Dmase fan when you were wide receiver 3 and 4. I didn't jump on the train when everybody else did. I saw you do things before everybody saw you do things. I'll just say that. With that being said, can you understand why it would hurt some fans for you to go to Baltimore? Because I made peace with it, and but Baltimore took so much from this franchise, man. Like every opportunity, a lot of our good players are great players, you included. Like, can you understand why fans would not be okay with that? Like, I don't like. I understand it's a business, but can you understand why fans would go, ugh?
I mean,
Thank you.
thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. I get from a rivalry standpoint how, you never want, one of your best players to go to the rival team, because now you think, oh man, that means they're going to be better. So I do understand that part, but then I hope fans understand that a lot of times, at least back then, a lot of times it wasn't because the player wanted to leave. It was because either the organization felt, we're paying you too money, you're not producing well, or you've been injured. And
salary cap, right?
Salary cap. I fell
cap.
into the salary cap sort of bracket. I hadn't even reached the peak of my game just yet, or I was just reaching it. And, I wasn't hurt ever, really. So it was more so of the finance. And when it's finance, there's nothing you can really do about it. I've at that time, I'm telling you, I offered to restructure the contract. Like, let's just redo the contract, because they did that with several other players. So my thing was, it was never done with me. So can they do an extension or a restructure, and I get to stay here? And at that point, listen, they were grossly over the cap. And I can see if it was just me they cut, but they cut some really, really good players in 2 years. I'm talking about the year we all got cut, meaning myself, Samari, Kevin Carter, Joe Netney. There was just like 2 or 3 other more players. And then the next following year, obviously, Steve McNair. And then the year before that, it was Eddie George. So, or a year or 2 before that was Eddie George. So,
right.
I knew it was going to come. And my thing was, well, if I'm leaving, I'm going somewhere where I know I have a really good chance at winning a championship. And I wanted to play the Titans again. So,
and you did.
Well, I think that was part of it, Derek, as I think back to it, to where Adam's feelings were coming from, which he wasn't alone. But
yes,
when it was not just you, it was you, Steve McNair, and Samari Roll. Like those are 3 key guys for a 5-year run that was pretty special for the Titans. So it really, really stung to see all 3 of you guys on the arch rival, the most hated rival at the time by far. That was tough.
And
it's not nobody's fault.
Yeah, it's just the way it's like nobody wants to go to a crappy team.
But did you ever, like, you didn't get with Samari Roll and say, let's go to the Ravens?
No, I didn't, because I
it was
signed.
Just coincidence that all 3 of you ended up over there.
I
right?
signed with Baltimore first, and then like a day later, or it might have been a couple of days, then my agent, because Samari and I had the same agent, and then the agent said, well, you're going to have company. Samari is going to be in there. I was excited because, listen, somebody I know, somebody that comes from sort of the same tree, meaning, here in Nashville and playing winning football. So I was excited about that. But no, it was me that started it. I didn't look to start it, didn't want to start it, but it got started.
Okay, I'm about to stick it to one texter. One texter says, my son doesn't think you'll read my text on the air. Can you shout out my son, Colt? I'm a big fan of the show. Colt! You the man.
You the man, Colt.
The best. Colt.
The best.
I mean, Titans fans might not like your name, Colt. But shout out to Colt. I'm not afraid to read things on air.
No, unless it's just something that you can't read on air.
Well, of course. I mean, we don't want to get kicked off the air.
But we
like our jobs.
We tend to read everything, no matter if it's, agreeing with us or not agreeing with us.
Now, this is all I'm going to say to you, Colt, because your dad claims that you didn't think that I would read this on the air. Now you got to get something out of your dad. Like, if you're on your way home or something, go get a treat.
Yeah.
And tell them I sent you. I always find that very odd. Sidebar. I know that's part of the radio world. When you listen to a read, it's like, this is Willy Dante. Can tell them I sent you. Do you think anyone's ever actually done that? Not for Willy specifically, but do you think anyone's ever walked into a business and be like, Derek Mason sent me?
I did that.
Sometimes they ask you, right? Sometimes the business will say, how did you hear about us? Because some businesses want to know what's working in terms of how they got the word out, right?
Yeah. No,
so
you're
sometimes
right.
that will elicit the response. But yeah, I've never gone in there and say, hey, Let me just tell you before we even start chopping. Derek sent me over here.
I'm here because of Willy Donick. Not because of anything else.
They'll be
But
like,
if they
"Great.
ask
What do you want?"
how you hear about the place, then yeah, you would say, well, I heard it on 102.5 The Game from Willy, Adam, Derek, Willy, Adam, Derek, or Derek.
Did Mark call in unexpectedly?
They're like, David who?
No. But I mean,
Shout out to Sugar Free, by the way. Mark, if you're listening, shout out
Mark,
to Sugar Free.
You know Mark listening.
One texter, one texter says, if Mike Vrabel were your head coach and you were still playing, what would what he did have any impact on how you practiced and played? Would you respect him as much? We sort of talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, we did. I think how I practice and play, no, it will not. But I think players see if there's any subtle changes or whatnot with the coach. I think players can sniff that out, or players can figure it out, especially if they've been with a coach for some years and he's always been this way or she's always been this way, and then obviously something happens. And it doesn't even have to be what happened in Vrabel's and Diana Rossini's case. It could be something else. But if you see some change, players do notice that stuff. Now, I don't know how many players feel confident enough to say something to the coach. I would tend to say none of them really, but they do notice it. And that's when the talk amongst everyone else starts to happen within the locker room.
Willy, quickly, because you were not on with us yesterday when we were talking about the latest in the Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini saga. Do you think there is a chance that he is not coaching the Patriots at the start of the season?
No.
You think he will be the coach?
Chance.
Okay,
interesting. I think he'll be the coach of the Patriots for sure.
Okay. 615-7.
Do you guys disagree?
I openly wondered yesterday if these stories continue to trickle out and TMZ and the Daily Mail and Page Six are all on the hunt for every story they can publish about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. I wondered if that continues to happen, if someone at the NFL says to someone at the Patriots, hey, this needs to stop. This distraction needs to go away. I'm wondering if something like that would happen.
It would, and I said this yesterday, I think it would have to take sort of, and again, it's not comparing. I'm not saying I'm comparing this to what I'm about to say, but it's something like that. It's almost like I need to see a video or I need to see something that's irrefutable that tells me outside of what they've already shown. I need to, if something else comes out.
So what would it need to be that we don't already know?
I can't, I am not going there.
Some sort of tape, Willy.
Yeah.
You can fill in the blank.
Okay. Yeah. Right. But even if you did, it's like, duh, we already knew that's been like, I think it's been established that they've had a relationship that has crossed the line.
A relationship of 6 years.
At least
the last video,
and that's that, right? So what else? Like what else?
The last video we saw, they were in Putnam County,
County,
Cookville. The last video we seen of them, she was clearly with child. Clearly,
she was preggo.
Yes, and he was about 15 paces behind, purposely. Purposely. That's why I said, Willy, everybody's now thinking, and there's only one thing that can sort of be the trump card, like this ace right here. If this comes out, then I don't think there's any protection. I don't think you can give him enough protection. I just don't think you can. There's no way you can. I mean absolutely no way you can. Do you? But you know what I'm talking about. But do you think that they can still give him protection based upon that?
I think he's already been left unprotected for the most part. Like he's taking the heat right now, and I feel like it just would really surprise me if it would go up another level. He's gonna take his lumps from a PR standpoint for a while, and it'll go into the regular season. But I would be really surprised if something else came out that would take it even up another notch. I think I just feel like we've seen what happened. It was inappropriate. They haven't fired him. He hasn't. The commissioner has given him the pass of it's not a personal conduct issue, so he won't be suspended. So I just think it's going to be what it is.
615-737, hold that thought. 615-737-1025. We'll take any other questions you have for Derek, and we'll wrap up the week coming up next. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willy, Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Wrapping up the week. All right. Let's make a prediction. By this time next week, as we're going off the air on May 15th, will the Predators have a GM? Derek, yes or no?
No.
Willy?
I'm trying to think if the second round will be over by then. I think it will be, at least in most of the series, it will be probably by then. I would say I think there's a good chance, yes. So I'll guess yes.
Okay. Here's
How
my
about
answer.
you?
I hope so.
Well, that's not an answer.
Exactly.
You asked a question. You got to guess.
I'll also say no.
Okay.
But I hope I would like to have something to talk about, a GM to talk about.
Well, that's the incentive. We want to talk about it. We want to find out who it is. But
yes,
I mean, I still don't think there's anything significant that is happening that they have to do it by then. It just would be nice if they have the right person, but you have to know you got to know who you want.
I was talking to somebody earlier today who presented the opposite side of the argument we've been having, where we've talked about, hey, they're doing their due diligence. As Elliot Friedman has said, there's a curveball in there. The Predators are taking their time. They're not in any rush. And most of us have thought, I guess that makes sense. The person I spoke to said, it makes them look incredibly indecisive that it's been more than 3 months since Barry Trotz announced his retirement, and they still don't have a GM. By the way, reportedly...
Well, they have a GM.
Well, yes,
it's not
a
like
new
they
GM.
vacated
Yes,
the position.
but a new GM. Yes.
Well, but I think it's important to remember. It's not like there's nobody in the office and stuff is piling up and everybody's looking around going, hey, we got to do this. We got to do that. Like they are operating with a GM who is on the way out, but he's still there. There's still people in the office. They're doing things. But I get the point. But it is important to note.
There were reports.
They didn't fire their GM.
Right.
Right. If they fired a GM,
yes,
and they had some interim person, it is something that I'm sure they feel like they can transition from.
It's been reported that the Vancouver Canucks are deciding between a couple of people. So it appears the Canucks search could be coming to an end. I don't think... I hear what Willy is saying. Makes sense. I don't think it's a great look if the other teams that fired and hired their GMs before the Predators hire their GM. I understand Willy's point. The Predators still do have a GM. It's still Barry Trotz until they hire somebody else. But come on, guys. Pick it up a little bit. That's all I'm saying. I want something to talk about because look, as much as we've talked about what the Predators could do this offseason, a lot of it hinges on who they hire. So until we know who that is, they're still part of the conversation we're unable to have. And I would like to have that conversation selfishly. So Predators, come on.
Hey, perfection takes time, man. They got to get the right person.
We'll see. We'll see if next week they hire a GM. 4 games across the NHL and NBA tonight in the NHL. Game 2, Montreal at Buffalo. That game's about to start. Puck drop near the top of the hour. Game 3, Vegas at Anaheim. Anaheim tied the series in Game 2, so 1-1 apiece there. An 8:30 p.m. Central puck drop. In the NBA, Knicks at Sixers. Knicks up 2-0. 6 p.m. tip-off. Spurs at Timberwolves. 1-1 in that series. Tip-off at 8:30. So basically, you'll have to choose. Well, no, you won't have to. You could do the multi-view. They're not all on at the same time. But
all right, I got a question.
Yes.
Do we think the Spurs at this stage of their emergence could hang with Oklahoma City? Or do we think Oklahoma City is just the team to beat right now and should go on and win the whole thing?
I think when
Can anybody hang with them?
I think when you have Victor Wembanyama, you have a shot.
Yeah, I think
it may not be a great shot, but you have a shot.
But this is a young team, meaning the Spurs, and obviously they're being led by Wemby, he's going to be the face of the NBA pretty soon here. But they're still a young team. And when you look at OKC being led by SGA, that's a veteran team that's won a championship already. So they know what it's like playing in a 7-game series at that time. Now, I think San Antonio won the season series against them, if I'm not mistaken. But you know as well as I know, Willie and Adam, in the season is different from playoffs. And, you know, when that's the only team you got to play and you're game planning for that team only in a 7-game series, a lot of times it tends to go to the team that is veteran but also is really good. And both teams are really good. But if I'm looking at it from that standpoint, I'm thinking that, you know, Oklahoma City and SGA, I can't see San Antonio beating them. Could they? Yeah, but in a 7-game series, I don't know. I don't think so.
Willie, how do you think the two games in the NHL are going to go tonight?
I think I'm most intrigued. Well, look, the Buffalo Montreal series, in terms of the theater that they're in front of, the raucous fan bases, the starving fan bases, both from traditional markets, are going to be awesome. Like, it's worth watching for that. I think that I'm going to stand by this. I think Buffalo is just a little bit better than Montreal. I could be wrong. Montreal is super exciting, but I'm going to go Buffalo there, and I am really intrigued with how Anaheim is pushing Vegas. It looks a lot like Vegas's first series. You got the Wiley vets, you got the team that's been around the block a few times, but they are not as quick. They're not as fast as Anaheim. So they have to work around that. And Anaheim's got to be pretty confident going back home with the split. That is going to be a heck of a series, I think. Tonight is huge.
Absolutely. That'll do it for us today and this week. We hope you had a wonderful time with us, because we had a wonderful time with you. We will be back Monday at 3 p.m. reacting to the news of the weekend. For all the moms out there, this is your weekend. Have a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. You deserve it, especially my beautiful bride, Bridget. You got your shout out. Mm-hmm. This counts as a present. Just kidding. Love you. We'll talk to you Monday at 3.
Be loved. Love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day and weekend. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music. Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. We will be back to discuss everything that happened this weekend, starting at 3 p.m. on 102.5 The Game. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I want to say happy Mother's Day to my mom, who's not here anymore. I still want to say happy Mother's Day to her. And to the kids' mom, say happy Mother's Day to her too as well. So, but
Diego Pavia's mom.
I didn't
Don't
say
forget about Diego Pavia's mom.
Oh boy.
Exactly, Willie's gonna get himself in trouble. But as I say every day, we'll see you 3 p.m. 102.5 The Game, because we be talking and you be listening. Thank you. Peace.